This is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardines, to use this as an educational material. Hi, we are the group 2 and our topic is the 6 claims of globalization by Manfred Steger. And the objectives is to be able to understand what globalization is and to be able to identify the 6 claims of globalization and to give example of each claims. And before I start, what is globalization? Globalization is the interconnectedness and interdependence of countries, cultures, and economies on a global scale, driven by technology, trade, and communication. Introduction. Manfred Steger ideology of globalization highlights the complex interconnectedness of our world, encompassing economic, cultural, political, and technological dimensions. So, Manfred Steger encompasses not only economic ties but also cultural exchanges, political interactions, and technological advancement. He emphasizes that globalization isn't not just about the spread of markets and technologies, but also involves the creation of a global consciousness and the transformation of social structures. As people from different parts of the world engage in conversation and discussion on these platforms, a sense of global consciousness emerges where individuals become more aware of global issues and perspectives. So this shift in awareness can lead to the transformation of social structures as the people reevaluate their identities, affiliations, and connections in light of the broader global context. Steger's perspective delves into how globalization shapes our identities, societies, and global governance, emphasizing both its potential benefits and challenges. So, according to Manfred Steger, ideologies of globalization explores the various viewpoints people have about globalization. The book examines different ideologies from those emphasizing its positive impact to other critical of its effect.
Claim 1. Globalization is about liberalization and global integration of markets. Liberalization and global integration of markets. So globalization is a process of increasing interconnectedness and interdependence among people, businesses, and countries around the world. One key aspect of globalization is the liberalization and global integration of markets, which involves removing barriers to trade and investment between countries. This can include reducing tariffs and other trade barriers, opening up to markets to foreign competition, and promoting the free flow of goods, services, and capital across the borders. Steger's view encompasses not only economic aspects like trades and finance, but also the dissemination of ideas, values, and cultural practices. He underscores the transformation of social structures and the emergence of global consciousness. In essence, Steger's perspective on globalization delves into how it shapes our identities, communities, and the ways of govern and interact on global scale. Example of market liberalization. Market liberalization has been implemented in various countries around the world. Some examples include China, which has undergone significant market liberalization since 1970s, and India, which implemented market liberalization policies in 1990s. Pros and market liberalization. Market liberalization can lead into increased competition, which can result in better prices and more choices for consumers. It can also encourage innovation and investments, which can help boost economic growth and create jobs. Cons of liberalization. On the other hand, market liberalization can also lead inequality and unemployment. It can result in a loss of job in certain industries, and it can make it difficult for some business to compete with larger corporation.
Claim 2. Globalization is inevitable and irreversible. Globalization refers to the increasing interconnectedness of the world's economies, culture, and populations. It involves integration of markets, the movement of people and goods, and the spread of ideas and information across the borders. Many experts argue that globalization is inevitable and irreversible due to a number of factors, including advances in technology, in transportation, and communication, that have made it easier and faster to connect with people and business around the world. Additionally, the growth of multinational corporations and the expansion of international trade and agreements have further accelerated the pace of globalization. One concrete example of globalization is the rise of multinational corporations like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola operates in over 200 countries and is a symbol of American culture and capitalism. While Coca-Cola has brought jobs and economic growth to many countries, it also has been criticized for promoting unhealthy lifestyle and contributing to environmental degradation. Globalization is certain to happen due to its unstoppable process. It has good and bad effects. So the pros of globalization: increase economic growth and job opportunities as business expand globally, and it also greater access to goods and services from around the world, leading to greater consumer choice and lower price, and also cultural exchange and the spread of ideas and innovation across borders. While the cons of globalization: it increased competition and job loss in some industries, as business move operation to countries with lower labor costs, and also environmental degradation and spread of pollution and other negative externalities, and lastly, cultural homogenization and the loss of traditional practices and values.
So claim three, nobody is in charge of a globalization. So globalization is a complex process that involves the integration of economies, societies, and cultures around the world. Unlike the traditional political systems, there is no single leader or governing body that controls the process of globalization. Instead, it is influenced by multiple factors and actors including governments, corporations, non-governmental organizations, and individuals. So, according to Manfred Steger, contends that globalization is not overseen by any single authority or institution. Instead, it emerges from a multitude or interconnected forces, including governments, businesses, and cultural interactions. Steger's argument emphasizes the decentralized nature of globalization, challenging the notion that a singular entity directs its course. So the concrete example of how globalization is one of example of how globalization is influenced by multiple factors, and actors without a clear leader is the rise of a global supply chain. Companies like Apple, Nike have developed complex networks of suppliers and manufacturers around the world to produce their products. So the pros and cons of nobody in charge of globalization. So the pros: greater competition and innovation as companies seek to expand their markets globally. Increase cultural exchange and understanding between different nations and peoples. So the cons of globalization: increased competition can lead to job losses and lower wages in some industries. Region, cultural, and exchange can also lead the loss of traditional values and practices, as well as the spread of negative cultural influences. And that's all. Thank you.
Globalization benefits everyone. Globalization benefits everyone. Claim 4 state that globalization benefits everyone in the long run. Globalization refers to the integration of economies, societies, and cultures through the exchange of goods, services, and ideas across border. The proponent of globalization argue that it lead to increased economic growth, improved living standard, and greater cultural exchange. However, there are also critics who argue that globalization has negative consequences, such as loss environment, integration, and cultural homogenization. He suggests that increased global interconnectivity can lead to economic growth, cultural exchange, and access to diverse ideas and technologies. However, Striger also acknowledged that these benefits are not evenly distributed, and globalization can also have negative consequences for certain communities. His perspective highlights both the potential advantages and challenges of globalization. Concrete example. One concrete example of the benefits of globalization is the rise of the tech industry in India. The outsourcing of tech jobs to India has led to increased economic growth and job creation in the country. This has also led to greater access to technology and improved life standard for many Indians. However, there are also concerns about the impact of outsourcing on job security and wage in developed countries. Pros of globalization that can benefit everyone in the long run. Increased economic growth and in developed, particularly in the developing countries. Increased access to goods and services including healthcare and education. Greater cultural exchange and understanding between different countries and population. Cons. Increased income inequality, particularly in developed countries. Loss of job and industry in developed countries due to outsourcing and offshoring. Environmental degradation and environment of natural resources.
Claim 5 Democracy. According to Manfred Stiger, was globalization emphasizes its role in promoting the dissemination of democratic values in system worldwide. He contends that globalization creates interconnection, allowing the exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultural influences, which in turn foster the expansion of democratic principle and practice across different societies. So, globalization has been argued to promote democracy in various ways. It can increase the flow of information, create economic interdependence, and foster civil society. However, there are also concerns that globalization can undermine democracy by promoting inequality and eroding state sovereignty. So, one concrete example for this is the countries like China and Russia has experienced increased globalization without significant democratization. While globalization has led to economic growth in these countries, it, it has also reinforced authoritarian regions and limited political freedom. So, here are the pros and cons of democracy in the world. So, pros: globalization can promote democracy by increasing access to information and creating economic interdependence. Globalization can foster civil society and create opportunities for political participants. Globalization can lead to greater political and economic liberalization. So, here are the cons. Globalization can reinforce authoritarian regimes and limit political freedom. So, the last is globalization can promote inequality and erode state sovereignty.
Claim 6: Globalization requires a global war on terror. Manfred Steyer explored the complex interplay between globalization and global war on terror. He delves into how these two phenomena are interconnected, shaping and influencing each other in the modern world. Steger highlights how globalization has facilitated the spread of ideas, technologies, and communication, while also examine how the war on terror has impacted international relations, security, and global global perceptions. The relationship between globalization and terrorism is complex and multifaceted. Some argue that globalization has led to an increase in terrorism, while others believe that globalization can be used to combat terrorism. One concrete example of the claims that globalization requires a global war on terror is response to the 9/11 attacks in the United States. In the aftermath of these attacks, the US launched a global war on terror, which included military interventions in Afghanistan and Iraq. To effectively address the challenges of globalization and terrorism, we need to adopt more nuanced and holistic approach that recognize the complexity of the issue. This slide offers some recommendations for moving forward, including promoting human rights, fostering economic development, and building bridges of understanding. Pros and cons of global war on terror. Pros: coordinated international action can disrupt terrorist networks and prevent future attacks. Increased security measures can provide a sense of safety and security for citizens. Cons: the use of military force and erosion of civil liberties can fuel resentment and radicalization. The focus of terrorism can distract from other important global issues, such as poverty, inequality, and climate change.